Welcome to the show where three generations of family go head to head on a variety of topics. You got one Gen X, Kaya, one Millennial, Noe, and one Gen Z, Chris. No matter what the topic, you can bet it's going to be up for debate.
I don't know if I'd say it's unfortunate, but I think the idea we were talking about of, people of color at some point just reaching their tipping point, I honestly don't feel like it's that far away. And I'm not saying it's gonna be some DC sniper type stuff. I'm just saying something is going to happen where the black John Wick is gonna be enough is enough. You know what I'm saying? Because you're gonna leave black people no choice, or people of color no choice but to feel like y'all did all of this. Let me show you what happens. Or if you remember, granted I wasn't around, but obviously through reading in history, when police officers in the 70s used to do wild stuff to black folks, and the Black Panthers would just run up on cops and kill them. You're gonna end up in a situation
that caused the laws to be changed as far as the Second Amendment with us.
You know what I'm saying? You're gonna put yourself in a situation where it's just you keep killing black folks unnecessarily, or you keep, just operating, with your judicial system and your legislation in a very, very just unfair manner, towards people of color. And granted, I know people of color to some degree applies to all minorities, but all minorities aren't the same. And the reason why I believe all minorities aren't the same is because for black people, we don't necessarily have the backing of anybody. You know what I'm saying? Asians, they've got Korea, they've got China, they've got, they've got a continent, a country, they've got stuff behind them. You know what I'm saying? For black people, it's just who's behind you? Because clearly the country that you built isn't behind you. Is Africa behind you? And it's just you kind of in the middle, you don't have that same support. The minute something happens and it's just yo, this went down. Oh, Asian lady got beat up on a train. Hey, legislation needs to be passed tomorrow. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't happen for us.
But here's the thing too, and I'll say this lastly, when it comes to the issues that we deal with as black people in terms of the injustices that we face, the issue that we have with tackling these issues is thinking that it's a local issue, or we attack it or challenge it as though it's a civil issue. It's a world issue, right? So if you look at the things that are discussed and debated within the UN, anything that's happened to us can be presented as a world issue in the United Nations.
Well, the United Nations did say that it was genocide, that it was a form of genocide that was happening to black people within the United States.
Right.
So that's when
meant this as a world issue as opposed to an American issue. You know what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is, let's be honest, we're hated all over the globe. We are hated all over the globe.
Name another ethnic group that literally does research on the safety for their people when they go on vacation, other than black people.
Well, it depends on where you go.
But I'm saying I literally will Google, is it safe for black people in Nebraska? Is it safe for black people here? Before I go basically anywhere outside of Jamaica. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're Googling what is it like for black people here? I don't know anybody that's not black that does that.
Mm-hmm. Listen, the dude in Jacksonville, he literally had a purpose. He had a manifesto. He had a few manifestos, and he went to that HBCU, and that security guard, thank God for that security guard. He was like, it's skirt. And that dude left. But he went to a Dollar General, Dollar Tree, and it's just you hate us so much. And this is how you express that hate. And white nationalism is the biggest threat to America as we speak.
Agreed.
But this comes from the FBI. But yet when people do stuff like that to us, it's charged as a hate crime. No, that's domestic terrorism.
Yeah.
And it needs to be treated as such. So this is a question that I have to all the legal minds that are out there, because I wanted to ask this question, and I want you guys to tell me whether or not it is plausible and it could be done. Okay? Can we, as the Black delegate, file a class action lawsuit against the United States of America for mistreatment, for denying us of certain human rights and certain rights as of the that are in the Constitution, for PTSD, for causing daily trauma and allowing it within the FCC to be played over and over again on the airwaves on TV? Is there a way for us to sue the United States government for its actions towards us? I want to know.
Constitutional malpractice, medical malpractice. You know what I'm saying?
We can go down
Slavery,
the and then y'all want to have
segregation.
you want to have statues up of these people that literally tortured us. So you literally have us driving past, going to schools with people's names that tortured us. What kind of sick, sadistic, evil, wicked, as my mother-in-law says, people are you?
That's like driving down the street in Germany and seeing a statue of Hitler.
Everybody else gets it, but America's so jaded. America's so jaded and so dumb. I'm proud, even though I have on my red, white, and blue, my Olympic team. I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. Shut your dumb ass up. Jason Aldean having a video, try that in a small town, talking directly to us, Black people. Can we sue? I just want to know, can we sue?
Put it in the comments.
Word.
If you got any legal degree, any law degree, and I'm not talking about one that you got online, I'm talking about a law degree, and you know the ins and outs of civil law, civil rights law, please tell us.
You know what I think too, oddly? I don't know if anybody's ever noticed this, just talking about the whole economic disparity between, you know, Black people and white people and whatever. But one of the things I've noticed, even with the way people put out, you know, educational tools, just regarding things like taxes or something. One of the things that I notice when I watch videos for Black people catered toward Black people, and then videos for like white people, I guess, just cater to the general public or whatever, maybe to white people, I don't know. The way it seems to be done is, it's kind of like, hey, Black folks, you could do this, go figure it out. And then when I watch the white folks in their videos, these dudes are like, so here is what you're gonna do. Go here, do this, click this, do this. This is why the rich people do this. If you need this, you can go here and get this. And I'm like, yo, why do we feel like, and to me,
You're
I
like,
always
sign up for my class. Sign up for my class.
Yeah, and you can get all
workshop.
this information. And I'm just like, yo, these dudes, it's like, yo, if I can write off 100% of my stuff, or if I can, you know, yo, go get the trust and put your trust here. Yo, rich white people do it. And then like you look in the comments and folks are like, yo, so where do I go and how do I do it? And it's just like, yo, DM me and join my thing. And it's just like, yo, these dudes is giving this information to their people for free. Like, it's just like, they're telling them like, yo, go here, click this, do this, go here, whatever. If you have any questions, shoot me a text and I'll get back to you. And you said, these people are asking you like, well, where do I go? You should set up a trust fund. All right, so where do I do that? Do I just Google it? And then when you Google it, you get 35,000 different options and you don't know which one to do. And then they tell you, oh, you're not willing to do the work. Like, no, I am willing to do the work. But if we're helping each other, it's like if I've done something and I've mastered it, my job is not then to make you have to work to get the information from me. My job is to make it easier for you and help you and put you on. So if I got the connect, so like y'all are my family. So if I got the connect, you got the connect. But we don't do that with the things that matter, and they do. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
Nepotism runs rampant, but
but the
you're
minute
gonna
you
have to
do,
get in how you can fit in.
you know what I'm saying? Like, if I got 35 companies, yo, I'm putting everybody on. Even if you don't know what to do, I'm just gonna put, all right, yo, look, it's cool. You don't need to know what to do. I'll teach you what to do. You know what I'm saying? And like, if you think like I've seen that with my white friends and people who I know all the time. If they inherit something from their families or whatever, it's like, yo, my dad was a carpenter, or my father was a business guy, or my dad owned this or whatever. Yeah, we own a convenience store or whatever, and we got a chain of them. You know what I'm saying? They just gave it to me. Like, I don't really want to do this, or I don't know how to do this, I should say, but they just told me to come in and whatever. He left it for me and they taught me what to do, and I just started running the stuff. We don't do that. You know what I'm saying? It's always like, before I leave you something. And I like, even when I listened to like Steve Harvey talk about this one time, he was just like, yo, everything that I got, like, I'm not leaving the money for my kid. Like, y'all got to go build your own life. And in my mind, I'm like, you're not gonna leave hundreds of millions for your kids if you can. Like,
Bill
I
Gates
don't.
said the same thing.
And to me, it's like, really, I don't know if I want to, if I trust that or if I believe that. But I just think for us, the way we share information isn't the same. It's kind of like, yo, I'll give you step one, you got to go do the other ones. It's just like, so you're not going to give me like the full 10 steps, and the full 10 steps, because, you know, Zach gave Kelly 15 steps. Like, he sat down and did it with her. Like, why don't we do that? Like, our networking just isn't the same.
To Noe's point, in terms of, like the Steve Harvey and the Bill Gates, saying that they won't leave their bread to their children, but how is that any different, from a king of a territory, or whatever, having the prince inherit the throne whenever he's dead? You know what I mean? It's not like when a king dies, you tell the prince or your son, you got to work for the throne. You go out and work like a regular person, and then if you do a good job, then you'll be king. No, he just naturally inherits the throne when the king dies. You know what I'm saying? I feel like it's no different from
Facts.
leaving your bread to your kin. Whatever they do with it, whether they mess it up or whatever the case, that's on them. But I think as parents, or even guardians or whatever, I think it's natural, even normal, to leave your belongings or whatever to the next generation.
But there are some people, like Noe said, that don't believe in doing that. They would give it to charity, and then their kids have to make a way when they can.
That was good.
One thing that I definitely can say that we are guilty of is we put more emphasis and more value in what's white owned than we do our own. Case in point, HBCUs. There are so many Black people, uppity Black people, that don't believe going to a HBCU would benefit you. You got to go to these predominantly white institutions in order for you to get to where you need to go, to make the connections you need to make. You know what I'm saying? We don't, because if we did push our kids to go to HBCUs, and we also poured into those HBCUs monetarily, then the HBCUs would be able to compete with the Columbias and the, you know what I'm saying, and the Yales and the, you know what I mean?
I agree.
And they would, and the talent that comes from these HBCUs, every Fortune 500 company would be like, well, can we get some interns from Howard, can we get some interns from Hampton? Can we get, you know what I mean? Because we see that the stock that they're coming out with is very rich and very bright and very bold. So we want people from this college. We want people from that one. But we like, no, the white man's ice is colder.
Well, I mean, you can't blame us for that. You can't blame us for that. And
I
that
can and I can't.
But that goes back to what we were talking
about
about the entirety of the conversation, right? And back to this whole to America thing. It's really not two Americas, it's the same. For as long as we can remember, the standard for greatness has always been white. Right?
The standard for beauty has always been white.
Right, but that's because of the fact that we're uneducated as to where we come from. So we don't strive to be us, if that makes sense. We strive to be someone else. Because
in a sense, that's actually kind of changed. I feel like the standard for beauty
is now us, but in a white.
Exactly. Is us
body.
In a lighter shade, if
right.
you want to call it that. You know what I'm saying?
What Rhapsody said, loving, you love my features, but in the white body.
But in terms of these HBCUs, right? Like the selling point that we see on the surface is, you know, you got people that look like you, Black owned, whatever the case may be. But for us now, there has to be a little bit more for us to be willing to do that. Because again, for a lot of us, we believe that white is the standard.
White is right.
And until we're educated as to where we come from, the why as to why we should go to HBCU will be a lot more clearer, as opposed to just saying, you know, you have a lot of people that look like you here, and you know, this is great for you. Because the modern Gen Z or whatever the case may be is not going to go for that. They're going to go for prestige, and whatever that means within the context of the society that we live in. But again, if you're educated as to where you come from, you know, and you learn the things that they don't teach you in the education system that you go throughout your life, then the reason for going to an HBCU, like I said, becomes a lot more clearer. But until such time, your belief is that white is the standard.
I think
assimilating to that standard for so long.
And I think, not to disagree with you, but just to, I guess, open another side of that. Like when it comes to like colleges and attending and choosing whether or not you're going to go to like a PWI or HBCU or whatever, I don't know if it's due to the standard of white being right per se versus going somewhere that you kind of feel is already established. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to go to the startup company where I might only make $50,000, but if I go work for Chase, they'll give me $200,000 for the same position, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of dudes are like, yo, I want to play football. You can go play football anywhere. You could go to the HBCU and you'll rock out. You'll be a star. You do a whole bunch of stuff there. You might not get the recognition because it's not as well established as Miami or University of Miami, where it's like, yo, if you go there, you know what I'm saying, you're going to be on ESPN. They've got all the deals. They've got, you know, they're partnered with Adidas or whatever the case may be. I don't necessarily know if it's purely, I should say, that the idea of white is right versus like white comes off as already being established, where it's, if it's like for some people, if I go to this school, like it's up and coming. You know what I'm saying? Because I remember when I was looking at colleges, that was one of the things that I always heard. I applied to all HBCUs and one PWI, and I ended up at the PWI after asking people, yo, should I go here? Should I go here? And everybody said, yo, nah. It's bigger. It's got more this and the networking. When you graduate there, you'll have more access to stuff or whatever. Go there. And that's where I ended up going.
And it was all Black people that told you to do that, right?
It was Black people, it was white people, everybody told me that. So it was just,
and that's the problem. That's the problem.
And so for me, it was just like, oh, all right, cool. And what I realized is it wasn't a matter of it being white. It was a matter of it being established. But we'll never be established if you don't go. So, you know what I'm saying? So if you don't put money into it, if you don't attend, if you don't do anything, it's like you ain't never gonna get anything. You know what I'm saying? Howard is still gonna have, you know what I'm saying, like a street cage around their football field. They ain't gonna get no money. I feel like Deion Sanders kind of showed like, yo, if you just come, if you just rock, you know what I'm saying, for 3 years, look at how different things can be. You know what I'm saying? So, but then one of the things he also mentioned was, you know, it was mad crooked to some degree. Like he brought a lot of stuff with him, a lot of money and whatever. And you know, people
And he also got robbed.
you know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying, you gotta not start acting like niggas as soon as something good happens for you. Even when it comes to like voting, withholding your vote and doing certain things like that, I totally understand like the idea of like, you know, like large scale change, you know what I'm saying? Like just talking about the UN and bringing your problems to them or whatever the case may be. But at the same time, also, if you, I'm sure most people, not most, but a lot of people don't vote in, you know, just like the regular primary elections and, you know, like the lower level, you know what I'm saying, like your local, you know what I'm saying, city councilman and your, you know what I'm saying, like most people don't really, most people, I only know when that stuff is because my mom works at the polls. So she was like, oh yeah, we got this, make sure this or whatever. It's just like, oh yeah, I'm on it. But for people who don't have that, a lot of people don't know, you know what I'm saying, like who their own like city councilman is. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's the alderman here? Like, nobody knows. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like a lot of times you can, if you start, you can start building your neighborhoods by recognizing who you're putting in your neighborhood. And then you move to the next level, like, all right, we got these people who we wanted in here. Let's see if we can start working on the next level. And then you get to the Senate and the Congress and the White House. But in some way, you have to figure out like solely going to the poll to vote for the president ain't getting it done for you. You know what I'm saying? So you got to start figuring out and paying attention to who your senators are, who your congressmen are, who your governors are, who your local councilmen and district leaders and aldermen and all these people are, and then start voting in all of those different elections. This way, at least at even if you start at the bottom, you have more as you try to impact change as you move up the ladder of, you know, the political chain or whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's just my personal thought.
Nah, man. Nah. Mm-mm. Nope. Want to know why? I'll tell you why. Because the can't stand the sight of the jungle. They never fight a fuss. They never curse a cuss. They just stand on the side and stare at us. But anyway, the problem with that is the electoral college and how many representatives you have going into one state. A state like Montana should not have the same amount of representatives as a California or a New York. Like inner city, the gerrymandering that they have done even more so within the past, I'd say 10 to 5 years after Obama got elected, they literally gerrymander the cities to benefit their party. So they choose their voters. So if somebody if people start moving into the area, but then they actually withhold loans from certain people so that they don't move into those areas, so that those areas stay predominantly what they want it to be. And when I say predominantly, you know what I'm talking about. So we can vote all we want in our local elections because we live in a usually a blue state. Now we have little reds in little pockets of the state, but we live in a blue state, so we don't have to worry about it with us. But then when you go to Nebraska, when you go to Montana, when you go to Wyoming, Hannah, Montana, Akon, you know what I'm saying? When you go to all of those places, then you're like, how is it that there's like 6 people in this town, but they have all of these representatives? So unless they get rid of the electoral college that was started because of slavery, then we're always going to be in this position. So it is 2 Americas. It's not one, because they get whatever they want to get, and we have to fight for what we want. Period.
Which I feel like that's the electoral college is so interesting. Like it always is mind blowing to some degree. Like when it's just like this person lost the popular vote by 6 million and won. It's like, yo,
Exactly.
like to me, it's very clear. Like, all right, bro, like more people chose this person.
The fact that the popular vote doesn't win the election, the fact that we're still singing a Star Spangled Banner that speaks about killing people that look like us, and if we don't sing it, we're not patriotic. The fact that these things still exist. The same constitution that was written when we were not even considered human still exists, and we're still abiding by the rules and regulations and the amendments of that same constitution and Declaration of Independence. We're still abiding by laws that did not even consider us human in 2023 from 1776.
Which was my original point in terms of the whole realistic expectation idea. If we're circling back to what we were talking about initially.
The only way it's going to be changed is with money. And I'm not talking about a 100 million here, 100 million there. I'm talking about billions and billions of dollars poured into the pockets and lining the pockets of these politicians. I'm talking about creating your own pharma industry, because they own pharma. They own
No, I'm saying that's great. You know what I'm saying? Of course, money or any monetary facet is an important aspect of what we're trying to do. But the dollar without education is meaningless. You can't have a bunch of rich dummies around here not knowing where they come from and not knowing why they're doing these things. You can't build infrastructure without.
You said you can't have rich dummies around
That's
here.
what we have now. But I'm talking about for us, for our people, correct?
I was just about to say Trump is the richest dummy I know.
We're talking about Trump, but if we're talking about change for us lining pockets to a bunch of uneducated people does what?
No, I'm not saying lining pockets of uneducated people, but there are some of us that are about the business, but we just need to transform.
I'm saying, right? Uneducated in the sense that if we're still psychologically in that place of appealing to and appeasing to the white standard, if we come into new wealth and new money, we're going to end up back in the same place. Because if you don't have an understanding of why we're doing this, then we're moving in circles or going 100 miles an hour in place. So until we're educated, then we can start making moves. But a lot of us are just walking around ignorant to what's really going on. So money, yeah, absolutely. That's very important. But until we're only as fast as the slowest person, right? So if we have a bunch of people that, and I keep bringing up history because to me it's paramount, but in terms of not understanding, where you are in society, why you're here in society or in this place in society, why you have the socioeconomic status that you have. You know what I'm saying? If you don't have an understanding of how America works, then moving forward with large amounts of money is futile. It's futile.
So, quick question. In regards to how America works, legislation, and all that type of stuff, Thomas Jefferson wrote the Declaration of Independence, right? This is America's guy, or whatever the case may be. Now, if this is the person who authored your Declaration of Independence, who was, your Constitution, all that stuff, this is also the same man that said that your Constitution and your laws should be changed with time. You know what I'm saying? Like, because he was just like, these laws that apply now can't apply the same way in the future. You know what I'm saying? So in order to keep things fair, you need to be, I don't know, I can't remember what the quote is, but like law should be revised. I think it's every 20 years or whatever, somewhere between every 10 to 20 years or whatever the case may be. This comes
with the times.
Exactly. This comes from the person that wrote the Declaration of Independence. So either that, to be completely honest, that's actually a very progressive statement coming from a racist in his own time. know what I'm saying? It's very weird that you would think that he would say something like that.
He wasn't racist.
But
he was in love with Miss Hemmings.
I guess. But I mean,
I'm lying.
Oh. I'm about to be like, this is the same person that did talk about being 2/3 of a human, but or 3/4 of a human, whatever it was. But like to me, that's the one idea that actually makes sense and would be the most beneficial if you were revising laws every 20 years or whatever the case may be. Because now,
well, I think that's what amendments are about. However,
yeah, that's it's not done enough.
The 13th and 14th Amendment was supposed to be for us, but they have these little caveats within these amendments to still subjugate.
This is free unless you go to prison. Do you see what I'm saying? Unless you are in prison. And then the next thing you know, everybody's in prison.
Yeah, we're inherently violent. We're inherently truant. All right, come on. Well, debaters, let us know what you think. Are there two Americas? Let us know. Are there two Americas? Also, let us know if you are a legal mind, a legal scholar, whether or not we can file a class action lawsuit on behalf of those that we have lost, because they still, after she was she's 108 years old. She survived the Tulsa massacre and they still denied her reparations. What kind of evil, wicked, as my mother-in-law would say, people are these? Like, she literally told her story of her remembering and the fright and the trauma that she's endured her entire life. She's 108 years old, and she was able to stand before you in the court and read her testimony, and you still denied anything to them. That is devious and evil and wicked. Shut up, Noe. That is wicked. You see the pictures. You see the reenactments of what happened in Tulsa. And you know that there are huge mass graves where you just dumped bodies. And yet y'all still said no. You don't know them nothing.
Dudes literally will put man-made lakes and rivers over cities.
And that's why somebody else just died in Lake Lanier. Somebody else just died swimming. Listen, don't mess with the ancestors. If Alabama did not show you nothing, don't you rile these ancestors up. They went to rest in peace because they went through enough. But let me tell you something.
Not to call about that water like the people of Kulkulkan.
I'm talking about.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you something.
Dr. Umar about to get everything he wanted.
Yeah, and Suki with the good. Let me shut up. So anyway, yes, please leave it in the comments.
And if you went to an HBCU, put your HBCU in the comments.
Boom.
And if you're a part of a fraternity or a sorority, drop your letters, drop your Greeks. This is I grew up in church.
She's a part of the Kulkulkan.
Yes, I'm a part of the Kulkulkan. I grew up in church, and I thought that church was going to be my career. So I did not go away to college, and I am so angry that I didn't, and I did not have that school days life, you know, which Spike Lee so eloquently directed. I didn't have that life. I didn't join a sorority. I didn't pledge. So I don't know what that is like. But, you know, I have girlfriends that we are our own sorority. So, fellas, fellas, we got our first episode of the new season down.
Season 2.
Season 2.
Season 2s don't usually go good in TV shows, but this gonna be different. I hate season 2s in TV shows, but it's gonna be the one right here.
Bad Boys 2 is better than Bad Boys 1.
That wasn't a season 2 though. That was a sequel.
It was yeah. Well, this is a sequel.
Rush Hour 2 is better than Rush Hour 1.
Agreed.
With the first, don't stop. Don't stop till you get enough. Gefilte fish. Every time I go to the store and see gefilte fish, I think of, yeah. But anyway. So we got our first show of the new season down. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification button. Follow us on Spotify as well, because we are available on podcasts. Yes, we are. And
put your HBCU in the comments in capital letters. We are promoting HBCUs here. All right.
HBCU wars. Who's the best?
We're not waiting for HBCU week. This is all year.
Oh, yeah. You hear me?
That clap was legendary.
That was definitely one of the 1963.
Wait.
You know how when dudes be giving fives? And that joint is just like ain't no dap, ain't no like hug.
You shut your blasted mouth. I'm Kaya, the Gen X of the crew.
Gen Z. Christian.
Rep your generation. What's your generation?
See the M for millennials?
That's L.
I don't know.
Yeah, this is actually pretty genius right here. If I must say so myself.
Anyway, until next time, don't forget that no matter what the topic may be, you can bet your bottom dollar that it's going to be up for debate. Is this the right way?
I think.
can't tell. Debate.